There you go. Can you hear me? Hello? Yes? Are you there?
Yes, I can hear
Can you
you.
hear me? I can't. Oh, I know what the problem is. Hang on a second.
Yes. Yes.
Get him through this thing. Okay, as soon as the projector comes on, we'll be able to hear you. And I'm going to go to roll. Really?
You want me to give him the
Yes, give him that book. And we're gonna have Brianna on virtual, right?
Yes,
Brianna, Karis, Alex,
Alex,
me.
and
Karis is
Ian.
gonna be virtual today.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah, so Brianna, Karis, Alex, and Ian.
Alyssa.
And Alyssa.
Oh, and Alyssa. Yes.
Okay, so we should have, and I think, yeah, Lerma, Brian's here on the roll. So we're looking for Haley, Emily, Brian, Brendan, and Elizabeth.
I tried to get off.
So there you are, and there you are. Where'd Brian go? I did not even hear all that, but okay, I'm gonna say
Or we scared him off.
it could happen. I could see that.
Elizabeth, you know what happened? So like last year, I was in Wisconsin with my
Okay, Brianna.
and we went to this corn maze at like this fall thing. And then Chucky got lost in it. And we were all waiting for him. And then at the very end, when Chucky didn't come out, my little 2-year-old cousin goes, "Oh well, gone forever," and then starts to walk away.
That's the best thing ever.
Oh well,
When my
gone
oldest
forever.
son, when my oldest son was 3, I had, my middle son was just a baby, and he asked me, how come he wears diapers? And I said, well, because he can't control, he can't go to the bathroom in the potty. Because he might fall in, and you wouldn't want to flush him, but you can go, why not? I was like, I don't mind flushing him.
Kids just have no
I
culture. They
know.
say the weirdest things.
My brother.
Okay.
You think
Anybody
that's
else?
bad? Okay, so there was a flying cockroach on my dad's house. Terrifying. You know, my little brother, he thought the best course of action, not trying to kill it, not trying to throw a shoe at it, was to start barking at the cockroach.
Barking. I wonder if they're scared of dogs.
No, on what level does that make sense?
What age was he there?
He was like, what, 9? He was 9. Imagine a 9-year-old barking at a flying cockroach. He's supposed to be smart.
I would just scream and
He's supposed to be smart. Yeah, he was like, at least I didn't scream and run. And I was like, yeah, that's better than barking.
run.
And I came back and threw a shoe at it.
Yeah.
This dude.
Remember a lady's house? She was as terrified of cockroaches as I was, and she had stairs that went to the second floor, but there was like a hallway that you could see over the railing into the, and so we saw the roads and it flew, so we both of us ran upstairs, and then we saw it down on the ground on the first floor, and so we got a book, a big heavy book.
Yeah.
Dropped it. Got right on it. We had to go back because we didn't want to go back downstairs until it was gone.
I would have burned that book. There's no way I'm using that.
Yes. Are they at the time? Yeah, they should all be here already.
They're terrifying.
I have 2 people. Oh my goodness. Isn't it? Oh. I think. There we
Like, oh.
go. Okay, so we got Ian, Brianna, Alex, Karis. Yay.
Karis, when are you coming back?
I don't know.
Okay, let me see what we're doing today.
Right outside. Open the doors. Right.
There we go. We're still working on review.
We're doing like the, yeah.
And I'll get with you, Brian, here in a second.
It's really easy. You haven't gotten that far.
It's really easy. I need to toughen up, I guess.
No. Oh my God, my mom, she was like she saw that and she was like, good job.
The little award.
Yeah. She was like, do good things and you get rewarded. And I'm like,
Guess who's gonna use their Whataburger coupon today?
Yay.
yeah.
I'll have to give Brian one.
Poor online
Free
student.
Whataburger.
What did they say?
What about Alyssa?
I didn't tell her.
She's at the orthodontist.
Oh, okay.
Did you take Spanish?
Let me go back to-
By any chance? Did you take Spanish lessons?
The roll sheet. Hang on, guys.
I'm still mad. I have to take Spanish 1 again.
Alyssa There we go.
I have to take Spanish 1 again. So I thought maybe if there was another person, they would.
Did you guys online already meet Brian? Yeah. Okay, so wait, Brian. There. In the way. Okay, I'll just leave it there for now. So y'all you're still working on the questions on page 119. Okay, and I wanted to answer a couple of questions that Karis had indicated. So I'll just talk to everybody. Number 24, that was one y'all were talking about too yesterday. Right, Karis, you talked about 24 and 29. And so, oh no, I got a little pop-up window covering your face. Hang on a second. Ah! There we go. Okay, so on 24, I'm gonna put the periodic table down. Looks very fancy here. On 24, they're asking about the chemical properties, referring to the periodic table describes the chemical properties of blah, blah, blah. And the chemical properties over here, you're talking, the chemical properties that we talked about in this chapter was electron affinity and ionization energy and what's the other one? Electronegativity, right? Those were the three chemical properties. And we said that as you go across the periodic table, they increase. And as you go down the periodic table, they decrease. Okay. And so they want you to use that idea to describe the chemical properties of, say, potassium. We'll start with potassium. So potassium is on the left side of the periodic table. Do y'all have your periodic tables? Or in your book, it would be page 103. I'm gonna hold this up so, yeah, there you go. And so here's potassium over here, and we know that all those chemical properties increase as you go across. And so potassium being on the left over there is probably going to have low values for those three chemical properties. So you can just, that's what you can say for potassium. You can say potassium would have low values for those chemical properties. And you could write all the properties out, or you could just say the properties. And then the next one was sulfur. Okay, well, sulfur is way over on the right of the periodic table. And since it increases as it goes to the right, you could say sulfur would have high values of all the properties. And anything up at the top would be low values. Anything near the bottom would be high values, right? Increases as you go across, decreases as you go down. So yeah, low values for the lower down. And if anything's in the middle, I think they had some elements in the middle. Manganese, Mn, it's right in the middle. So you could say it has medium values. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. And then on 29, question? Thought I heard something, no. Okay, on 29, it said describe the chemical properties, and it's dealing with hydrogen. And so there you just look back at page 116 and 117. And on page 116, it talks about three things that makes hydrogen similar to the alkali metals in group 1. It's right on page 116. It says it's an S block element. It ionizes by losing an electron, and in aqueous solutions, it will dissociate. So they mentioned that all in that first paragraph, those 3 things. And then the next paragraph, and then on the next page, it talks about 3 things that make it more similar to the halogens over on the right side. It says, for one thing, hydrogen shares electrons in covalent bonds. And then it goes on to say a second factor on page 117, hydrogen atoms tend to bond to themselves. And then third, hydrogen can ionize by gaining an electron. Okay, so it lists 3 things on page 116, that first paragraph, and 3 things on the next section where it talks about why it's like those group 17. So part of the first 3 reasons tell you why it's like the group 1 metals, and the other 3 reasons tell you why it's like halogens. So hydrogen is kind of schizophrenic, multiple personality, something like that. Yeah.
I know that 2 people have already asked me this, but 30.
Emily was talking about number 30, so let me see what that one is. I gotta stand up here so they can hear me. But tomorrow I should be able to use my speakers and the swivel and the microphone and have everything set up.
What were you looking for?
I have to have an adapter that I can hook the speakers up to the USB in my computer. I tried using just the audio port thing, but it didn't work. Yeah. Okay, so number 30, determine the energy released by the largest electron transition in the Lyman series. See figure 3.8, state your answer in electron volts. Okay, so the first thing you got to know for number 30 is you're using your equation, and I'll write it down over here where you can see it. On the board. I don't want to write on anybody. I'll write on Ian and Brianna here. E equals HV over lambda. Can you see that? I think y'all can see that. There may be glare. Well, E equals HV over lambda. We used that several chapters ago. And they give you, well, it says for the largest electron transition. So you have to go over to page, back in chapter 3. Page 82, and in the chart there it shows the Lyman series, the Balmer series, and the Paschen series. And these are how the electrons jump from one level to another level. And so the one with the biggest transition next to that longest arrow, it says 94 nanometers. 94 nanometers. And so that is actually your wavelength. Okay, so you're going to plug 94 nanometers in for wavelength, but you can't have it as nanometers. You got to convert it to what? Meters, right? So convert this to meters and then plug it in there. And then you got your values for H and V on your formula sheet. And when you get your E, it'll give you an answer in joules. So then you got to convert it to electron volts, EV. So if you look back on page 389, and I'll write it on the board too. It gives you how to convert from joules to electron volts. Let's see, is that going to be visible? Probably. Page 389, and it says down near the bottom, 1 EV, electron volt, is equal to 1.60218 times 10 to the negative 19, 19 joules. 19 joules. And so once you get your answer in joules, you have to convert to electron volts. Does that make sense, Emily? Yeah. If you don't have this conversion on your formula sheet, you may want to put it on there. Okay, I'm gonna, any other quick questions?
You know what chapter specific differences was in?
Percent difference?
No, specific differences.
Well, where
I
are you
have
getting at?
no idea.
What? Which one are you looking at?
36.
We're only going
Oh.
for.
Identify some specific differences between chemical properties of the alkali metals and those of the transition metals. Well, it sounds like this chapter, actually.
I know, right? That's what I was thinking. They said review questions.
I know.
So I wasn't looking there.
Alkali metals and transition metals.
So you are. Oh wait, it is in this chapter.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Where do you see alkali
Well, I
metals?
see all the transition metals have multiple oxidation states,
Mm,
but I don't see alkali metals. But
okay, I bet they did talk, they kind of introduced it maybe even in the introduction. Let me look. No, not in the introduction. I mean, I know them just off the top of my head, of course. And the units. And molecules. Well, they have a picture of the periodic table on page 50, and so I'm thinking maybe somewhere in that area. Compound.
because I mean they're both metals. So
Yeah, but alkali metals are much more
I think yes.
reactive. Okay, on page 52, he talks about sodium. I think he talks about chlorine. Let me get some more. Okay, chemical properties, maybe it's under there. It's on page 57, chemical and physical properties. What are you asking about? What is it? Chemical properties, yeah. Okay, well, let me just give you all some differences myself.
Okay.
See that they have it in chapter 3 either, unless it's under. Okay, so alkali metals. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it on the screen, the shared screen. And share the screen, whiteboard. Wait. Okay, so this is number 36, right?
Yep.
And so alkali metals, and then I'm going to go over here for transition metals. And I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. So these are very reactive, and these are not as reactive. Did they say similarities and differences, or just differences?
Specific differences between
Okay.
chemical properties.
And the alkali metals are going to have high. Actually, you're going to have low. No, okay, cancel that. The halogens would have like electronegativity and all that. I guess you could say low values for ionization energy Remember the trends we talked about?
Yes.
And electron affinity. And electronegativity. The transition metals will have medium values because they're just in the middle for all of those. Well, they're going to all lose metal, lose electrons, become cations. They have, okay, one thing that's, and this will be the last one I'll give you because I think it's the main thing. You said alkali metals, okay. So +1 charge only on ion, whereas the transition metals can have several different positive charges. Sometimes they'll be +1, sometimes +2, +3, whatever. Okay, so I think that's probably as much as you would want to know, if not more. I don't remember going over that in previous years. That's weird. Other questions so far? Just keep
Number 33.
Yeah, 33. Okay, we'll put this one up here too. It'll be down low. I know what I'll do. Change colors. $33. Oh, yeah. Leave it in here. So when you have n equals 4, then if you look back on page 85, that looks like a 6. Let me undo that. 33, many orbitals. It says number of orbitals.
So does this include all electrophores? So 4s, 4p, 4d? If it just says 4?
Or if it's just with that, yeah, I see what you're saying.
So it could have 1 but can go up to 7?
No, I think in the 4th energy level, you're going to have 4s and 4p and 4d and 4f. And so you can have up to 16 orbitals. That's the number it has on that chart there. And then it says how many electrons can that hold would be what? If there's 2 electrons per orbital, yeah, you double it. Because each orbital is like a box, so you're going to put 2 electrons in each box. So if there's 16, what did you say, 32, right? Okay. So, here, let me get you a corner. gonna have to print you out here. So you've been doing virtual? And have you had chemistry before, or were you in chemistry?
No, I've had it before.
So you went through the whole course.
Yeah.
Okay. And each textbook is gonna be different. And this textbook is really different because it's meant for classical Christian schools as opposed to usually we have. But it's still pretty much the same basic chemistry. How'd you do in your chemistry? So I think right now they're doing like pretty review questions in chapter 4 because what happens in each chapter is there'll be exercises for each of the sections, and then they'll have general review. That's what they're working on now. These are all questions over stuff from previous chapters because the tests usually have a few questions from previous chapters. So they've already reviewed chapter 4, doing that. Doing this today and tomorrow. And then we don't have class on Mondays. And then on Tuesday, we're gonna have a practice test, and then Wednesday a test. So I don't really want you to get too involved at this point. I'm not gonna do what I can do. I feel like it's terrible, or even take the chapter 4 test. So what I want you to do between now and then is pretty much to just flip through and kind of get a familiarity with the book. It's written so that even homeschoolers, can learn. Like he's just talking to you, so talking much like a textbook of some of the others. Well, it's pretty technical sometimes. And its introduction probably is more technical than it needs to. It talks about a few major themes, and if you just look at mainly the headings, that's what you need to know. Electrons and the electrical forces, ionizing energy. The stuff he gets into in between is a little, you don't need to worry about that. And then you get into the first chapter, and he gets into measurements. So you do that in every science class you ever go to, the metric units and all that kind of stuff. Significant figures, you ever get in that? Okay, so you can hear about that. And I think limitations. Do you have a calculator?
No, I don't even remember it. I didn't know what kind of year.
They probably, what they all usually have for their algebra 2 is the TI-84.
You have to have the graphing calculator.
Hmm?
You have to have a graphing calculator.
Yeah, the graphing calculator for algebra. And here, we won't use the graphing capability as much. I don't think we ever did with chemistry. So you mainly just scientific stuff, but you'll probably need to get, the TI-84 is a really good one. And if you want to really invest, because they're starting to go on the way out, and the newest thing is the Inspire. It's a little more expensive. But you can update it and use it off of college. And so you'll be able to use it for a long time, especially because it just came out. So a TI, Inspire, or an 84, you can get them usually probably even on Amazon used.
Okay.
So think about that. And we'll, I can help you guys to get used to. Did you use one at the other school? Did they have?
No, not really. The one for algebra, geometry.
Did they have like a class set?
Yeah.
You know what kind it was? Yeah. Okay. So there's Casio and Sharp.
I think it was Inspire.
Inspired. Yeah. That's a really good experience with them. Okay, and then here he starts talking about just how to categorize matter in general. So it starts real general with what is matter, and then how are the history behind the development, and you might have gone through that. So you'll be going, and then how do you organize matter? And you show kind of a little flow chart here. How you can organize matter, and you go through the details there, and it's pretty good stuff. And we do some calculation, density. Always big on density for some reason. And then we get into the mold. Remember the mold?
Yeah.
6.2 times 10 to the 23rd. Yeah. So we get into that and figuring out molar masses for compounds. So you can, just kind of skim through this, and then it gets more specific about, it's pretty technical in chapter 3, about orbitals and quantum numbers. Pretty abstract. electron configurations. Did you ever do any of those where you use this like 1s2, 2s2, 2s2?
Yeah, no.
Oh, good.
I just think that shit, like, it was a while ago.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't remember.
Yeah, well, so what I do is, this is a formula chart. And it has a lot of things to how to convert and the Greek prefixes, some of the constants you need, formulas. And there was another one, this is one in the back of the book. So it's some of the same stuff repeated, but has extra stuff that the other one doesn't have. And then I put this here because I just like the way they do the units, piconam, micromilli, and all that. So you can use this on any test or quiz or whatever.
Do I need a binder for this thing?
Yeah, you'll need a binder. And then this, we're gonna get into more later. I think I did it. This is the periodic table, but it has electronegativity values. So we'll use this more later, so just hold on to that.
Okay.
This was doing the math for chapter 3. I gave them kind of the steps to go from molecular formula to percent composition to empirical formula, and empirical formula to molecular formula. So you can hold on to it, and you can use that on test 2.
Okay.
And I also gave, this was for chapter 4, although you can't use this on a test, but it was basically talking about these trends, how the atomic radius gets smaller as you go across the periodic table and gets bigger as you go down. And so they talk about that there. And then these other things, like I wrote up there, they increase as you go across, but decrease as you go down. So that's just a handout I gave people too. Now I'm going to print you out a periodic table. I don't have one right now.
Okay.
And so just, while you're in class today, tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday even, you can just be reading over these chapters and trying to refresh your memory. And then chapter 5 will get into the real nitty gritty of chemistry, of chemical bonding, ionic bonding, covalent bonding. So that should tell you later. These dots are things we use for on the periodic table to help us with some of the questions that you don't have to. Anyway, you can leave that there, you can take it off however you want. And I don't mind people highlighting things or underlining things or whatever, that's fine.
Do I leave it here or take it?
You take it with you.
Okay.
Okay, and get a binder, okay, you can start looking over it. You get a binder. Let me go print you, and you get a calculator, and I'm gonna print you out some periodic.
Okay.
Can you find the number of carbon atoms?
The number of what atom?
Carbon atoms?
Oh, so you figure out how many molecules there are. Is that number 34? So you start with your 112 grams, and you convert to moles. And then you convert to molecules. And hang on, let's see. And then it's mentioning carbon dioxide.
Mm-hmm.
So once you get molecules of carbon dioxide, there's so many molecules of CO2, then you're going to get multiplied by one more conversion factor. In one molecule of CO2, you only have one atom of carbon, right? There's just one atom of carbon, 2 atoms of oxygen. And so that's really not going to change your numbering, but it gets you to the right unit. Okay, so I'm going to Control P.
Is everybody online doing okay? Any questions? Okay, well, let me know, and you can also use the chat. Let me put that up so that if you do, I can see it. Oh, I do have it, okay. Okay, I'm gonna get to that here. Any questions? So, in the book, so it took here is for then covering the orders in the shell with 16, always ends with like 5 and 20. Because that includes the S, the 3 Ps, 5 Ds, and then the 7 Fs. And then you go for this one you have been more. So this is the number of volts. And then the number of electrons would be twice that because 2 and 2. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Did Brendan just say Ian?
Yup.
Oh, I was like, what was that? At first I heard, I was like, what is that?
They wrote on stuff that was, and they got everything that you're supposed to have on it.
Mine's like shiny. So.
Samantha, well, that's your name, your periodic table. Everybody needs that.
I don't have a name for mine. I can't think of a name yet, actually.
I got you. Yeah, the big periodic table was named under.
I just don't listen, man.
Okay, so you see these numbers, 1 has 2 F's and all that, and +1, +2, 2 P's, and then here's the 3 D's, 4 D, 5 D, 6 D, and that's there. So you can write that. You got the numbers?
Yeah.
Okay, so just copy that information down. I don't have any more of these nice Navy periodic, well, this is, sorry, Army periodic tables. This will have to do for you.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Which like Lord Brian Ford or whatever. Brian with a Y, right? Ricky Ward.
Really? Like,
Yes.
you know Nubs? He's dead, but he died in Corpus Christi, and the dude now lives in Corpus Christi. I know, right? Exactly.
So I'm just trying to get rid of these coupons, so I just make it a little official
Oh my
seal of
God.
excellence.
No.
But you just take that to Waterbury and get your Waterbury Junior. But you have to use it by Christmas Eve, so that's why I'm gonna get rid of it.
No.
And that you just put in the refrigerator.
He's dead.
Thank
But.
Yeah, it's the strawberry chocolate.
I'm starving.
If we can go, does everybody have their Whataburger thing? No, it's at home. It's at home.
16. I need to bring snacks to eat during small break time.
Logic.
I left mine at home, Brendan.
What are the rules of reading?
You have to be like a senior and have parental permission.
I do. I was just wondering, because bring brother.
Man, when we're seniors, we should at least one day just go out to like.
Freddy's.
Yeah, right.
Back by.
Yeah.
But then there's also Popeyes. I know that I bought, it was really good when they had a Subway's just over there on in Hamlin.
Yeah.
By the
And Hammond Pharmacy's good place too.
Oh, yeah.
They have milkshakes. Do they have sushi?
Yeah,
They're just really good.
If we ordered ahead, do you think they'd be ready?
Probably, I think.
That's what we probably should do.
And they used to have that hula peach.
Oh, that was, I get that every day.
What is that?
I got that one time.
Healthy
and I did
stuff,
not like
and it had a lot of smoothies and things like that, but they also had
We kept-
salads.
We kept them in business.
I think so. You should be done a better job.
In the summer,
Are they still-
that's when
They replaced what were on the subway was. Now it's what, a nutrition place?
That place is pretty good. Like, I've been there.
a nutrition, like what, smoothies?
They have like coffee, smoothies, and tea. And it's pretty good. The place that replaced Subway. Cause I went, cause Hamlin closes at 3, so I went after school. Cause I had time to kill. Yeah, it closes at 3.
The restaurant used to close at 4 now.
Oh, yeah, we had one.
Everything closes at 3 for all of them. And so I went down because I was gonna go like get something because I had something at like 5 and I had like an hour to do something. And I was like, you know what, everybody keeps telling me how great Hamlin is. I have money, so I'll go down there. Close. So I went to that nutrition place and it was pretty good. It was
Did you
pretty
get
good.
anything to eat or drink or?
I got their drinks.
Or the bottles or?
No, they make smoothie like thing.
Is it over here?
The one, it's
By
not.
what, is it in the little peach spot?
I think it's in the hula peach spot, the same spot. where-
Is it right next to Hamlin, kind of?
Yeah. You just like,
But it
You'll see
faces
it.
Staples, yeah.
Maybe I can get that.
Then there's Whataburger, that's really good.
Oh, that's
Whataburger's just what like
amazing.
that's
I could live
But
that.
it's close, and then
You
there's
can
Wendy's,
Whataburger,
it's not
right?
too far.
I could live off.
we had a teacher that before he came to Purpose, he didn't really like Whataburger. Now he eats it like twice a week.
Who's that?
Definitely. Yep, Mr. Sackback.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love Whataburger.
Last year when we went to, so we would go to Hamlin right before our shows.
Oh, yeah.
And,
In theater.
yeah, last year when we went, during our review, they had like this lady came up and she's like, we're gonna have Christmas trivia. And we were all so ready. And so, since we go to a Christian school, and they were asking pretty like Christian questions over there. So we were like, they were pretty like easy, like Bible
Mhm.
child care service.
How many
questions.
wise men were there?
It was pretty cool.
Very good.
Good job.
When I have a half day, I want to go to Hamlin.
Well, that's coming up at the,
I know, but I have to go with my dad, so I can't do that.
oh, he would like it.
No, I'm blind.
Mm,
Exactly.
mm.
Most of our class, like most of the time when we have half days, we go to Burger. So.
Because they're usually on half days, they have the like, go to Grub, support an athlete.
Plus,
Yeah.
Grub is really good.
Corner bakery.
Oh, yes. Oh, stop.
Seriously. Okay, if you keep talking about this, you're gonna have to go out.
Burger. 10:35.
What is that?
Oh, yeah, because what's with the,
Oh.
it's so Spanish. Oh, I can't wait to eat.
And then after you say, like, after you leave, you're gonna say, I can't wait to go to sleep. It's like a constant.
I didn't say that like you just stopped working, I mean, you know.
What is this, Jim?
Probably Monday, although, looks like, are y'all getting pretty close to done?
No.
I'm on 33.
Tomorrow. Well, we have an hour and something we wanna.
That's for 35. 45.
How much time till lessons?
5 minutes,
We have time for darts.
No, we have like 3
No.
minutes.
3 minutes.
Then the
Definitely.
seniors wanted to play darts yesterday because Brian saw y'all playing.
Which Brian?
Brian Lopez.
The senior class.
So I'm thinking the senior Brian is BYR, and then the junior Brian is BRI, and we got a sophomore Brian with BRY, and the freshman Brian BRY.
That's what I was saying. We
We're
need
just
a
gonna
freshman
change
one. We're gonna change Cohen's name.
Who's?
Cohen.
Make him a Brian?
Mm-hmm. He'd be down for it.
Yeah.
And we'll tell him his nickname could be Don Pacino. He'll do it.
That was gonna scare Brian.
Okay, yeah, we need to keep him away from Cohen for a couple of days or else he'll be terrified. Yeah, come on. Oh, also, if Cohen's talking about a video, never watch it. Never, never.
I think this is too much information to take in such a short amount of time.
That's true, that's
Your
true.
main advisor in the camera. It's not that bad. That's your good advice. Okay, y'all ready?
Well, we're gonna listen to this.
Chemistry.
Big family.
You might think it is. Oh, yeah, we're not a big family. So we got six tiny.
I met his younger brother.
No, he's, I guess since he's coming as a problem, it's hard to take him 4 years to Okay, oh, you guys, you're dismissed too. I'm gonna hang up on you. See you later. We'll work on these tomorrow in class.